Okay, let's go ahead and get into the stock market technical analysis. We'll go ahead and look at the broad markets. We've got Apple earnings. This is, there's a lot coming out this week. We've got the Fed on Wednesday, and then we also have Apple earnings on Thursday. So two kind of big key reports coming through. So I think the market's probably going to chop around, probably continue to rally. It's seen a different or a decent sell-off. You can see here on Triple Qs, we've had pretty strong selling since about this October 12th time frame, down over about 8.5%. So decent selling. I could see a relief rally leading up into those key reports. So that's the way I'm leaning right now. Triple Qs, if we rally, I think we could rally to, there's a couple areas. One, obviously you have the downtrend line right here. That's big resistance. All right. So you could rally up to there. I don't think we're going to get there by Thursday when Apple reports. That's a pretty large move. So the area I think we probably bounce to is right here. It's about 354.50, right in there. All right. You can see several reactions. Kind of a cluster there. That was support. It was support right there. So a rally up into that resistance level makes sense. I think we could probably continue to rally into Apple earnings. After Apple earnings, given that that's the largest stock in the market, it's hard to say what's going to happen after that. And likely I wouldn't want to be positioned ahead of those earnings. So keep that in mind. Now, one person, I did talk about, if you guys are in the private member group, feel free to join up. I am posting kind of additional trade ideas. Haven't done anything today because I'm just kind of scanning, looking for stuff. But equally, this week is there's a lot of risk due to the big reports in the Fed. So, to throw out new trade ideas right ahead of those big reports wouldn't be great. But somebody commented last week about how they wanted to see proof because I said, hey, the last objective area where I told everyone to short in the private member group was right here on October 12th. And that's where I said, hey, this is an objective short. They want proof. Here's your proof. All right, I'll flip over. This is the member comment section. You'll see here 2 weeks ago, I made this comment right here. Basically saying QQQ has rallied into downtrend line resistance, offering an objective level to short. All right, and you can see there I circled it. I gave this, I basically posted this just ahead of the Triple Qs actually hitting that resistance because I want to give people time to react. And again, levels aren't going to just stop typically at the penny, but that's where I said is right there. Again, 2 weeks ago. And if you go back, that's basically right there. We were right there, rallying right into key resistance, and that's that. So there's your proof. Again, I don't really feel the need to do that all the time. If you guys find value in the private member group, you can let other people know. But, and again, that's just one trade. I don't get them all right. So I'm not going to bat 100% for sure, but I did get that one right. And ultimately that short trade, was one of the biggest drops that we've had so far this year. You can see here, we had a drop here. This was about 8.5. So that's about as big as they've been so far this year. Here's another one. I guess it's about 8.5%. That's about as big as these drops we've seen so far this year. So there's that one. Okay, let's move on. Google. So Google, again, this was also a trade idea pointed out in the member group. I liked it. If I go down to the hourly chart, I can show you guys what I saw at the time. Okay, so on the hourly, we had this big bearish rising wedge. We created this secondary bearish rising wedge. And when we broke that, we broke it and did another back test. And right here, I did a private member group saying, okay, it's objective to short here. We've had kind of the secondary bearish rising wedge. We've broken it. Support's broken. It should be sell to rip. And, again, it rallied a little, got sold into, rallied again, and then earnings came out and down she goes. So that trade's, that short trade for the time being is over. It can obviously continue, and I think it will probably continue to the downside. But again, I do think we're going to get a bounce. So this one, and we have seen the bounce so far, a little bit of bounce. I think you probably can bounce a little bit more. Gap entry on this one is right here. Maybe we get up there before the Fed and Apple reports. It's about 128.23 on the hourly chart. And then on the daily, yeah, somewhere right in there. So I think we could easily bounce there. Also, I don't even know if I'd wait for that, because you can see right here, this was former support, and here there's another reaction right there. And that level is about, it's about 127.30. That's actually the target I'd be looking for. We're about halfway there now. So yeah, I think we probably get up there. That would be the bounce target. And then from there, it's hard to say. I'd prefer to probably wait till after Apple earnings is out of the way, but I think we probably continue lower. Microsoft, I don't have much going on with Microsoft. The chart's not that clean to me, so preferably I just kind of, to me it just looks like it's just kind of range bound and just chopping around. So this thing needs to kind of firm up before we can kind of, continue some analysis on it. So that's all I have on that one. Amazon's actually pretty strong so far today. So Amazon was at support. Again, there it is, support. There's a support right there, and the 200-day moving average. You'll see here it was a divergent low as well right there. There's your bullish divergence. Rallied, little downtrend line there. Took that out. So next resistance. I've got the next resistance sitting at right about there, which is about 135.96. So that's where this likely is going to. Apple obviously has earnings. It's below the 200-day moving average. It does have bullish divergence here on the daily, right there, on the RSI and the PPO. So this is a divergent low. Definitely not something I'd want to short, okay? And that's the thing. If Apple doesn't look like a short, it's very hard that the market is going to continue to go lower if Apple doesn't go lower. Earnings coming out. If I had to guess, the earnings are going to be perceived as bullish. All right, I don't know. That's what this chart tells me. Preferably, I'm going to wait till after earnings, and then we'll reevaluate. This, if it wants to rally, there is a downtrend line. I probably could mark it out. Yeah, right about there. There's roughly a downtrend line. So I think it could rally to that downtrend line, 178.50 or somewhere right in there. Meta is at resistance right about now. You've got this uptrend line here. Support, break, back test, popping it today, but they're kind of selling into it. It's at resistance. So I think this is probably the, as far as this can bounce, but again, just the fact that a lot of these fangs trade together, it's a little tricky. This might just want to chop around and kind of grind higher. So I don't, I think the upside's probably limited on this one, but it is a little tough to get incredibly bearish on this until Apple's out of the way. Once that's cleared out of the way and we kind of can take a look at the charts, we probably can find some key levels, of resistance for what looks to be the next leg lower. And NVIDIA is still holding support. Support on NVIDIA, again, it's right there. 403.50, support, and still holding it. So nothing to short. You're pretty much close to support. It's not an objective short here. We break down, and then, yeah. And earnings doesn't come out for a little while on this one, so I don't know. Maybe they bounce, and then it breaks down here in the future. Oh, Tesla. So on the daily chart, Tesla is, having a decent down day today. And below the 200-day moving average. So could continue lower, but when I look at the hourly, I'm starting to see some bullish divergence showing up. So here's the hourly. There's RSI and the PPO. You've got bullish divergence there. No buy signals, but we are making a divergent low. So could signal that we're going to see some sort of a counter trend bounce. I'd look at the 200-day simple moving average as the resistance at this point. So if you do get that bounce, you're probably going to bounce up to there, 216.91. All right, that would likely be resistance. And then if that's recovered, that's bullish, and you're probably going to go on to fill these gaps. There's a gap right there. But again, you got to recover the 200-day moving average first. So rallies into that right now would be resistance. UPS bouncing off support. I did point that out in the private member group. Again, this trade is working out as expected. You go to the daily chart. We got a big thin zone right in here, all right? We have gap entry at 135.44. We have gap fill at 125.12. All All right, I pointed out, okay, on Friday we're hitting that gap entry, and we're likely going to see a bounce there. And if I zoom in, boom, there's your bounce. We're up, 3%. Could go higher, maybe another day or two, or it might, continue lower. A break into the gap, they're likely going to fill the gap, which would mean this trades down to 124.81, which is the final target for any short trade on this. Pretty solid support right there. Lots of reactions. So that would be it. So I think we probably can continue a little higher and then, back down, break, and then go on to fill that gap for the final target. So that is it on that one. DraftKings rallying today. Again, if these FANGs are going to rally, and especially leading up into Apple, I think everything's going to kind of stay afloat. All right, including these. So you might see some more upside here. And just as it kind of continues to hold up, float higher, and then maybe continue lower after Apple earnings. So that's the way I'm leaning on pretty much most of these recent short trades. Disney continues to look like a decent long trade on this one. It's not actionable yet, but again, we have a bullish falling wedge here. We've got nice solid bullish divergence on the daily chart. We're kind of holding this support right here, which is about at 79.35. If I roll out, you can see that's your COVID lows, and there's another reaction back here. So pretty strong support. We've got a bullish falling wedge, bullish divergence, and we have earnings coming up. So, earnings coming up on the 8th. This might just continue to chop around into earnings. I could see it even going lower, kind of do a little washout move, take out these lows, 79.39, run a bunch of stops, earnings comes out, and they rip this thing higher. That's the way I'm leaning right now. So we'll just keep an eye on this. Adobe looks bearish to me. Adobe has negative divergence on the daily chart. There it is on the PPO and the RSI. It's continued to kind of hold this trend right here. Support. There's another bounce. And then, it's made these divergent highs. Divergent high, divergent high, divergent high. So we need to take out this support line right here in order to trigger a sell signal. It did it on Friday, so that definitely was a sell signal. They've recovered it, though, today. So, again, some of these key FANG stocks were sitting right at support, like Google, Apple. Several of them were kind of sitting there at key support. So you can see that this is bouncing. But again, the next time you take this out, likely going to trigger a sell signal. And there's a gap to fill right here. So I think you probably head down to that gap. That would be your first reaction, get a bounce there. And then there's a trend line down below. You can see all the reactions down here. So I think you bounce and then you go down and hit that trend line. All right, so that would be the trade idea. Not actionable yet. Again, we need to take out support. So, okay, guys, that's all I got. If you're interested in learning this as a skill set, check out the Stock Market Technical Analysis course. Join the private member group if interested in getting additional trade ideas and kind of market comments. Link in the description below on both of those, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.